placement of 350 billion naira. All right, so interesting headlines here. All the headlines here, very interesting, I must say. Let's start off with the salary review for political office holders. It was it 2023 or 2024? Was it 20?
I can't really recall now.
I think it was 2024. Well, I think it was 2024. Yes, it was 2020. 2023. Sometime around 2023 into 2024, they started talking about salary review.
Political office holders.
Political office holders, the judiciary, all
I think
of that.
that of judiciary was approved.
Okay, it was approved.
It was approved.
No, but when the conversation started was around that time, and there was an upward review. Yeah. Is there any time they do a downward review? It's always upward.
Maybe in some other clients, not in Nigeria anyway. You see,
go ahead.
If we begin to interrogate the merit or demerit of wage review, it is still going to be viewed from the context of how did it come to this level. In 1991-92 diarchy, where you have senators, National Assembly in place, then it was not heavily monetized. Professors were leaving campuses to become legislators, to contest elections. I remember in 1983, when Professor Wande Abimbola went to the Senate, he came back to say that they were only collecting sitting allowance and not salaries. But today, they show us the salaries they want us to know, which is still contestable. Some will say 21 million naira for a senator. Someone will come and say it's 9 million and all that. But I'm aware that apart from the salaries of the senator that goes into their accounts every month, there are also there are some other parts of office. Yeah. For instance, they are supposed to have 13 heads that will work with them, researchers, assistants. But how many of them do? They never employ these people. And the money is paid to their personal accounts. They have oversight functions. And what besides any MDA that does not play ball?
You basically have offices that people should work in, Basically.
They don't have constituency offices in their various constituencies. They never will do. And yet, it is budgeted for, and they get the money. So, if you now say you want to increase their salary now, the salary of a professor, in spite of the new minimum wage, is not even getting close to 1 million in a month. Whereas a legislator, as at today, that we are even contemplating a salary review, and of course, like you said, it's not going to be downward review. The reward is always upwards.
Always upwards.
So what we are now saying is that perhaps at the end of the day, a senator legally may be costing them with about 50 to 60 million naira a month. Whereas even professors earn less than 1 million naira.
Well, the chairman of RAMFAC is a Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, Dr. Mohammed Bello, has said that, look, lawmakers don't receive jumbo pay like Nigerians think. It's something meager. But Nigerians have a skewed, opinion of how much lawmakers receive. Dr. Wright, RAMFAC to review lawmakers' salary at this time, let's bear in mind that youth is this arrears.
But they were even accused of collecting overpayment that they have to refund.
They have to refund in some places. So, what's your take on this headline?
Well, like we've said before, when it comes to things that have to do with the citizens' stories here and there, but when it comes to theirs, there's a way they kind of paint it, want it to look normal. The only thing I want to add here, I think Daily Fanima has said a lot, is let there be accountability and transparency. Their pay is meager. no doubt. But let the analysis be done. Because when you go to most of your constituency office, people are not there working on a daily basis. People are supposed to go to their constituency office. Maybe they have a complaint or they have issues to present. They will meet somebody in that place. So if they want to review their salary, obviously it's upward review, not downward review. Let them be accountable. This morning, maybe the salary is 10,000 naira. That's why they call it meager. Every other allowances that come, constituency project and all that, they all put together and put in their pocket. Let them give Nigerians an account of how they have spent the money. This present Senate or House of Rep members, at least they've spent 12 months. Let there be a stewardship report of the money that they have gotten, and let that be a justification for upward review or downward review. Those who cannot justify their money in line with what it was released for, then they are not eligible for any form of review. So there should be accountability and transparency. Let us know the one that is meant for them and the one that is meant for people who are supposed to be employed. They're putting the money in their pocket. They are also creating unemployment. I think I will just stop there. Thank you.
Now let's.
But I want to ask a question before you go into the next headline. Where do these people get money with which they do empowerment? Buying cars, the canopy, motorcycles.
Probably.
Why should they be the one saddled with project execution? They are basically meant to make laws. They are not supposed to do all these things. And this is at the heart of corruption. It's corruption.
Indeed.
Those days, in the First Republic, you can't see a legislator coming to distribute vehicles, coming to distribute Okada, bags of rice and all that,
Or
and
tires,
even cash.
Or tires, as the case may be.
No, that one is ridiculous. Okada tires as a palliative.
All right. Well, let's take some more headlines here. Natasha is reacting, says, I endured Akpabio sexual advances for over a year. Natasha alleges. You want to react to that one?
You see, for me, I think the Natasha Akpabio gate is assuming fresh dimensions every day. But one thing that is not lost is the fact that this case of sexual harassment has not been proved by Natasha. I expected that she's now at and she's away from the clutches of any government agency that might want to arrest her. Can't she now reveal how?
Yeah, but she's on suspension. She's not.
No, what I mean
and the
is,
case is still in court.
What I mean
So
is,
I think revealing to the public is not what she should be doing at this time.
what
She should
would
reveal to the. It should be a court thing until
if you
the
want to
courts
talk
are
about,
done.
if you want to talk about a court proceeding, the moment that case is in court, whatever she's doing now is sub judice. She's not supposed to discuss it because already you are putting the judges that would sit on this case in public glare, and already you are blackmailing them. Why don't you wait for the court processes to start? When hearing starts, put up all the things you have on the table, and then let's see how far you can go in proving your case. It is not, the onus is on you to prove that this man harassed you. It's not on Akpabio too. That's why sometimes when people say Akpabio should defend himself, what is he going to defend himself on? If I were Akpabio, I won't talk. Because I don't know where she's coming from. Maybe she has even more damaging evidence against me that I may not be aware of.
Okay.
So I would rather wait, let this woman wait until she gives us the bombshell.
Okay. All right then. Well, I guess she's speaking because, I mean, she has to. Nigerians are quick to forget. So if you go quiet, we will allow other issues
If
like
not
the Rivers
for this reportage, It's River State
People are
that is
beginning
in the
to
news.
forget. You see?
You know,
So,
I told Chukuma one day, I said,
Yes.
Chukuma, if you have any problem in this country, your only prayer point is, Father Lord, let another problem that is greater than my own happen.
it will just,
It will just sweep it off.
wash yours off.
Of course.
Well, Dr. Bright, you have the floor now. Go ahead, please.
System should be in place to say they want to investigate, and then she can actually open up. But as it is now, I'm not aware of any system in place to say they want to investigate. Now we'll start speaking. I have not seen that kind of system in place. I have been accused of sexual harassment. A petition was written and a system was put in place to investigate. After their findings, they came to meet me and realized that the person who brought up that allegation was not, it was not factual. So, but in this case now, we've not even heard, because ordinarily the National Assembly should have a policy in place to investigate issues of sexual harassment. But as it is now, I don't think there is any system in place to say, okay, let us even investigate, let us investigate the parties involved. Because words of mouth, yes, I'm aroused, because even people who want to harass people, except some who have gone haywire, will do it in public. Many a times it's just probably in a closet or some ways. Like somebody is walking on, a lady is walking on the probably on the walkway or probably in the office, and you go and hit buttons. You want a camera to prove, to say this is what she has done. You should at least take it on the merit of what she has said, then investigate for her to actually open up and talk about the circumstance. But in this case, I don't think, I have not seen, I need to be educated that there is a system in place trying to ask the needed question of carrying out any investigation.
From that headline to another one, we freed 4,082 minor offenders to save 1 billion naira yearly, says FG. Tinubu committed to protecting citizens' constitutional rights. Now, this is coming from the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi. Sorry?
No, Tunji Ojo.
Tunji Ojo.
Tunji Ojo.
Tunji Ojo. You know, saying that, you
see,
4,000 people
I think
were
it
free.
should be more than that. If we had adopted...
Set free. It should be more than that.
Yes, if we have adopted ADR holistically, if we have adopted suspended sentences. For instance, if somebody has committed free, fighting on the streets, if there is no injury that warrants occasioning harm, such a person who is supposed to probably serve 6 month sentence or even 3 month sentence should also be taken to do community service, maybe for 2 weeks, sweeping the street and all that. It's enough deterrent for such a person, rather than keep that person perpetually in the prison, and now our end-hand resources will now be deployed to feed him on daily basis. I don't think it is right. No. So I think the direction now is that we need to strengthen our ADR, alternative dispute resolution. We should also begin to adopt suspended sentence in cases of misdemeanor, not felony anyway. And in doing that, there's a way. You see, putting somebody in a correctional center, as the name implies, is to correct whatever deviance in him that is exhibiting, and not to punish him perpetually. Because you find out that even suspects that are denied bail or they couldn't meet bail conditions find themselves among hardened criminals that are almost beyond redemption. And when they come out, they graduate, because there will always be this network between the prison and the outside world, where the other criminals that are still left in the prison can give them addresses and phone numbers of their gang members that are still at large. And then it becomes an integral part of that nucleus. And then it now begins to come from maybe pilfering. It comes out of that prison.
It becomes an armed robber.
It becomes an armed robber or a kidnapper. So that's not the way the justice system should run.
And truth is, sometimes these people are kept in there for so long
So
that
long.
their mindset becomes, warped.
As a matter of fact, they are even angry with themselves. They are angry with the state. They are angry with the society. They are angry with everybody. So when they come out, they look at you as an oppressor, and at least provocation, they want to attack.
They want to fight back. Okay, now, Dr. Bright, let's together look at a few indices here. Nigeria has about 240 correctional centers, and I looked up a figure as at today, but I'm not sure if that figure included the 4,000 that were released. But the figure has it that currently we have about 79,237 inmates occupying the 240 correctional centers that we have in Nigeria.
That were built by colonial masters.
Old. Now, added to that, let's have in mind that the capacity for these centers is about 50,083. Let's just say roughly 50,000. But it's been occupied by 79,200 and something.
And out of this, about 300
and out of this,
3,400 inmates are awaiting.
Is that even 3,400? 52,000. Out of this, according to the data, 52,518 are awaiting trial.
Now you can imagine that.
So the number awaiting trial is even more than the capacity of
not
the
to talk of the regular inmates.
That's about 66% of inmates awaiting trial already. Now, the other 20-something percent are those that have been convicted. And now we are saving government 1 billion by 1 billion naira by releasing 4,000. You know, so once one needs to now start to question the idea behind picking people up and throwing them in prison. We've seen cases where somebody escorts a complainant to the police station and end up behind bars, and if care is not taken, minor fines will keep that person in there for years to come. Sometime 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago or last year, we had some people released after having spent 20-something years behind bars.
And if they had been convicted for that offense, they wouldn't have spent up to that.
They may not have spent up to that. Anyway, Dr. Bright, react to this. Let's have your reaction.
You know, you called me barrister at some point. Let me also also add that I'm also the chairman, CSO Observatory Group on Nigerian Criminal Justice Law, Edo State. And we'll be looking at the ACJM over time. And we actually have concern about this awaiting trial. Our correctional centers are supposed to be a place where people are rehabilitated and reintegrated into the society. But it's challenging to see that most of the inmates are awaiting trial. Like the barrister Delifanimo just mentioned, these awaiting trials, many of them, they are kind of a miss, minor offenders and even hardened criminals. So you now see that the congestion in correctional center, even giving room for breeding of hardened criminals. Somebody went in like maybe minor offense and comes out as a hardened criminal. So it has become a challenge. And now somebody who is awaiting trial, because the days the person will be spending in detention is uncertain, the correctional officers would not even be able to have a planned training program or a rehabilitation program for them, because they can commence today and tomorrow they are out of the system. So it's a whole lot to do with our justice system, to start with the law enforcement, like the Nigeria police, because they are the one that prepares the charge sheet, which the judges or the magistrate would use to either kind of follow up on a case. So there is kind of a disconnect in the system. If the judge sees the charge sheet as something that is, you cannot just grant the thing bail or allow the person to go, the person has to be held in custody So we also believe that the police should be empowered, educated enough to do their thorough investigation so that judges or the magistrate will be well informed and will reduce the pressure on our correctional center. Like you said, our waiting trial 52,000. The capacity of the correctional center is about 50,000. What about the others who have already been convicted and who have already been sentenced? So it's a big challenge, and I believe that the government needs to look into this the more, see that our justice system, because again, somebody who has been on a waiting trial for like 2 years before the person was discharged and acquitted because there was no witness coming. 2 years of that person's life wasted in one place for something he did not know. And of course, when he comes, he's going to be angry with the system. So if 4,000 could save 1 billion, imagine what the 52,000 would actually save. It's a call that we should not just sweep under the carpet. Let's come out. Let's look at this indices again and see where some of these challenges are. Even in the ACGL, there are provisions. Some people are not supposed to even stay beyond 180 days or thereabout. So all these things should be activated. The public should be aware. All stakeholders should be formally educated on this, and let us do the needful so that even on top of this, innocent people are in detention. The real criminals are even outside still walking about. So we need to look and do something about this. Thank you very much.
Very much, Dr. Bright. Well, let's quite unfortunate one, I must say. And you know, it also adds to the fact that some of these structures, like you rightly said, are old. You know,
dilapidated. There was a time one wall came in one prison.
Yes, I think is that was it Kano? Or somewhere in the north.
Somewhere in the north.
I think I think it's somewhere around Abuja or something like that. Yeah, there was a flood.
Yes,
brought down the wall, and some inmates escaped. Some were gotten back. But also, for those that have been released, I just hope that due diligence was done in terms of determining who should make that list, so we don't end up releasing criminals back to the streets, people that shouldn't actually be on the streets in the first place, release them back, and then we now see a spike in criminal activities around the nation. And you know, for some of these people that have been there for quite some time, when you release them, where do you release them to? Is government? I think I should ask you that, Dr. Bright. I think since you're doing something in this regard, where are they released to? I know a situation of a young man. In fact, I still saw him on Wednesday when I went to the island. A young man who was brought back into the country many years ago, and I'm talking many years ago, more than 20 years ago, and then ended up in a cell, was there for some time, and when he came out, when they had to release him after a while, he didn't have anybody anywhere to go, so he started living within the prison facility, and I'm speaking about Alagbon prisons. He started living around there. Now, from living around there, he became
destitute.
Well, he became one of those that now I think he tries to get people passports around passport office, you know, run around, things like that. But he's still within that environment. He's not being able to leave that environment because he doesn't have anywhere to go to.
No, it's not that he doesn't have anywhere to go. The problem with him and people like that is the fact that our society, we are not ready to accommodate them. Because that stigma of, he's a prisoner, will never be washed off him. And so, even it's a stigma for his family members, his friends, to want to stick out their neck, to stick around him, have a relationship with him. So now he's left bare, he's naked. And so wherever he finds succor, is where he will stay.
He has made friends there.
That's
where his life is.
And then so imagine that kind of person, if he had made friends, what makes you feel that
he's not going transactions for?
Yes, he's not going to make friends with people of questionable character, because those who retire to their homes after office work are not likely to be his friends, because he wants to continue that relationship after work hours. So he would rather stick with those who drink, those who smoke, and do some other things.
Dr. Bright, are there measures, are there things that your organization or any other one is doing to properly rehabilitate these people? So sorry, I'm asking a question. I mean, I know it's just a conversation that we're having. Are there things that you guys are, people are doing to properly rehabilitate such people?
First, we used to have Nigerian prisons, and now we're having Nigerian correctional services. So those are one of the reasons why that name was kind of changed, because the stigma attached to somebody, oh, he's a prisoner, we're not having inmates instead of the term prisoner. That is to actually reduce the stigma that is attached. And so what we are basically doing is to see to how much we can create awareness, number one. Then number two, to give the Nigeria Correctional Services, the officers, the needed capacity to be able to rehabilitate and reintegrate these people into the society, because the people need to know that, oh, this man that has gone to serve this sentence is now a changed man. Because right there in the correctional centers, the opportunity to go to school, even the National Open University is operational in there. They can go to school. Some of them can learn a trade. Some of them can develop art. We've seen people who have written books and whatever. So it is now left for the correctional service to be able to convince the public that these persons have changed. That's why I mentioned that if you look at our correctional service now, the congestion in the prison is basically more with those who are awaiting trial. And those who are awaiting trial, they cannot, there is no, there is no time frame to actually have a planned program for them, because you could start a program today and tomorrow that they are leaving, tomorrow they will be leaving. But the there is that even those rehabilitation programs are not going to be possible with them because of their time frame, the other aspect of recruiting them to become hardened criminals is still there, becoming agents of criminals right there from the prison. So the best to do is to sustain the awareness and advocate for the government to empower the person, for them to be able to carry out that their duty of rehabilitation and reintegration. And of course, our justice system, not our judiciary, not just to wake up and be dumping people right there, remand, thereby congesting the prison. So the best we can do, and that is what we are doing for now, advocate. Let those who should be in prison, who should be in the custodial center, be in the custodial center. Those who can benefit or who can do community, of course, that's the non-custodial measures. Then those ones face it. You understand? Instead of putting everything in the custodial center.
All right then. Well, let's move on to another story now. Still from the Guardian newspaper. Absence of Nigerian hunters affecting foreign missions to ashores. Now, let me see if, yes, so there's a rider to it. To disclose his plan for 10,000 rangers to protect farmers. Okay, that's a rider attached to that story. Well, the federal government have assured Nigerians that names of new ambassadors would be announced soon. It's been over a year.
That's not true. That the absence of envoys will not make any difference in our international relations. That's not true. You recall that when Trump came in 2016, he had a brush with our ambassador to the US. That elderly man, Obiozo, and what he was actually saying at that time was that of all the people in Nigeria, why would you have to bring this old man who cannot even do the job of the state? You see, an ambassador is like a president of a country in another country. That's why they have some diplomatic immunity that you cannot assail while they are there. You can't stop an ambassador's vehicle and say you want to search. And if he is in the embassy, you can't come in there to arrest. Not even a criminal. There must be some level of negotiation for the man to be released to whoever is bringing warrant of arrest. So, who drives? Is it the conventional civil servants that drives the policy of the state, or an ambassador? Just like you are telling me that a state without a governor, a sole administrator, can run with permanent secretaries. It's not possible. The buck must stop on somebody's table. And that's why we have these ambassadors. But because most times now, a lot of these ambassadors are political office holders in the past who they feel that they must just compensate. By the time they bring out the names of these people that are going to be sent out as ambassadors, you find out that 75 to 80% of them will be politicians that have no bearing on international diplomacy. And it's not good for us. Most times when America wants to send ambassadors to anywhere in the world, they are well-grounded.
Technocrats.
Technocrats. That's what I'm saying.
All right then. Well, Dr. Bright?
I'm trying to understand who kind of made such a statement, but I wouldn't blame the person who feels that absence of envoys.
Tuga actually did. Go ahead, please.
They've not be anything tangible, so that's why I just feel whether they are there or they are not there, it would not affect. But ordinarily, it should affect. It's just like you are having the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria and you are saying nobody is there. We know the weight that the U.S. Embassy is carrying in Nigeria and, of course, in so many other countries. So our citizens are in many of these countries, and many of them are facing challenges. And this is some of the things that the ambassadors should also do. And beyond that, an ambassador in another country should also be able to identify opportunities that will benefit his or her country and kind of draw a link. But I think some of these persons just want this title of an ambassador without actually doing the work or understanding reasons why they are ambassadors. It's not just being there, it's to work like it was mentioned just now. Yes, you are a president in another country, you must be able to do something, safeguard the interests of your country in that country, and also be able to drag opportunities that you feel will benefit your country. But if those who have been there are not doing any of all these things, so it's as good as them not being in that place. It's a call for Nigerians to kind of look and see who they appoint as their ambassador, and also ask them for stewardship report over time. Thank you.
Vanguard newspaper now. There are some headlines here. Let's have the Vanguard up on our screen. Rivers crisis. Anger as NAS approves emergency rule with voice vote. Proclamation needs 2/3 majority vote of lawmakers for approval. And then, other riders to that story. That can be found in pages 8, 9, and 10 of the paper. It's a big story. And also, some other headlines here. USAID's alleged support for Boko Haram unproven, coming from Yusuf Tuga as well. And then local content stimulates economic transformation, NCDMB, as Pandef, others Lord Vanguard over conference. And then I'd like us to chime in on this one. Emefiele's trial. Court rejects EFCC's request to file additional evidence. So over a year of trial, ongoing, back and forth, detention, trial. The EFCC wants to file another evidence, and the court is saying that, look, nope, you can't file another evidence.
I think it's a ploy to elongate his trial and perpetually keep him in that. Of course, his role during the last election and the build-up to the election.
When will his travails
be over? That should not be the case in any case, because as long as you keep this man in detention without making him go through speedy trial. The question you now ask yourself is, why is it possible and convenient for EFCC and ICPC to try minor offenders within 2 weeks, get conviction, and in some cases just light sentence? And now the big actors that are really stealing our patrimony, it goes on and on and on and on, and it becomes part of handing over notes for incoming administration. So are we going to wait until another government comes to inherit Emefiele in detention without taking care of whatever he has done? If he's guilty, let him go through proper trial as quickly as possible, and then whatever it is that he deserves, let them give to him, let them serve him, rather than keep him perpetually in detention. I don't support this idea of keeping people perpetually in detention, because he also has blood running in his veins. Even when he's still in detention, he's still not guilty until he's proven guilty of that offense.
All right, then. Dr. Bright, over to you now.
Yes, I think it's their strategy to kind of hide some things, because in Emefiele, whatever offense, whatever crime he has committed, he did not do it alone. There are some other persons who are also involved. So when they do this, it's just their way of punishing one person. Haven't discovered that there are some other persons involved in it. It's a cartel. It's a group crime. But Emefiele for now is the face that is there. So by the time you go through the speedy trial, other names and other things will be mentioned, and because they don't want it to be mentioned, they will just be dilly-dallying. Don't be surprised for the 4 years of this administration, he would just be in that detention. We had the case of during Buhari's time. We do not have the issue of is it Dansuke or whatever, the minister of what was his name? The minister of the one that was kept perpetually in detention, and as I'm talking to you, I don't even know how that case eventually ended. He's their pally. They were running things together before, and of course, this is an offender. They just want to. I just feel it's their way of wanting to hide more facts from Nigeria, hence they are just doing what they are doing.
On to Blueprint newspaper. Now, there's this headline I'd like us to react to from the Blueprint. The headline reads, with $14 billion investment from India, others, Tinubu has made life easier for Nigerians. This is quoting FG. And then the riders to that story, over 200,000 backlogs of passport applications cleared. Tunji Ojo. Country's image now redeemed abroad. Toga. Administration encouraging free speech. Healthy opposition. Idris. Dr. Bright, I want to be seeing your face when he's speaking with you about this statement, and then the president's ministers have come out to say, look, these are the things that they have reeled out to show. 200,000 passport cleared, thumbs up, no doubt. Thumbs up to Tunji Ojo. Country's image redeemed abroad. Tuga? Administration encouraging free speech? Anyway, Dr. Bright.
Redeemed. How? What's the yardstick? What are the indices that they use in arriving at that? And for over, the image has been bastardized over time. So now, what yardstick was used to kind of say the image has been redeemed? If you are to promote the image of the country, you should give testimonies of others to say, okay, well, now we've seen that Nigeria has changed and so many other things. Then, talking about healthy speech, I really don't understand. I really don't understand the aspect of healthy speech. Recently, there was a lady who was being harassed because she was lamenting her frustration. Uneasy landing. If Nigeria is moving smoothly, I have light, I have basic amenities, everything is working for me, I'll praise the president. I'll say, oh, Tinubu is doing well. But when there are hardship, challenges, who should I also call? I will still call on the president. So where is the healthy? Because how healthy is it? You just want to hear the good part. You don't want to hear the bad part. Oh, okay, the weather is cool. I like it. The weather is harsh. You don't want me to say it. Maybe sometimes when some terms are being used in this country, I want to understand which dictionary are they using. A country where you cannot openly express what's the healthy thing there. I maybe need to tell us the dictionary is used though.
If President Buhari, the ex-president, had raised this badge, I would clap for him. That at least he will say, okay, I still allowed some level of free speech
and healthy opposition.
You know why I would clap for him? It's not as if he has a good scorecard in that direction, but because this was a man that grew up to know about regimental life. He was in the military for his.
That should excuse the clamp
That
down.
should excuse Buhari.
The clamp down on Twitter at the time.
Just assuming without considering.
Okay.
I can excuse you because what you don't have, you don't give. You knew what he did in 1983, 84. So if he has now become a little bit repentant, and he did the little he could do in his 8 years as civilian president, that can be excused. But I can't find anywhere where I could put President Tinubu in this, because if there is somebody that should even go to jail before now, it should be Lai Mohammed. And who was Lai Mohammed working for? Lai Mohammed will stay in Isaac John office in Ikeja and come up with allegations that are unfounded, throw it to the public. It was Lai Mohammed single-handedly ran out Jonathan from Aso Rock. Yet, not one day did we hear that Jonathan ordered his arrest or clamped down on him. There was nothing from Clueless, from whatever name they gave Jonathan.
Didn't call him.
You know, but there was no fundamental right that was abridged. At a point they said he's a weakling. But he never, at that point.
Because he wasn't arresting people. Maybe
That is
why.
it. But this was the chairman.
They insulted the wife too.
This was the.
Made mockery of the wife.
They made mockery of the wife.
Made mockery
in
of the
social
president
media
himself.
They even mimicked him.
And nobody said the president is being insulted.
Exactly.
And people should die by hanging. Nobody said any of those.
But unfortunately, those who are in the trenches during the Nadeko era, that were calling the militaries all manners of name, and even in politics, they were calling their opponents all manners of name, are now in the saddle, and fundamental human rights is breached. And somebody who is a minister in this government will not come and tell me that we should give thumb up. Anyway, well, maybe if I find one.
If we find one. Unfortunately, I've just been informed that we are out of time for this. Well, I must say a very big thank you to you, Dr. Bright. Thank you once again, Bright Onyevo-Kuko. Thank you for your time and your contribution on the program. Now, thank you once again, Mr. Tele Fanimo, seasoned reporter, VOP analyst. Thank you, gentlemen. Well, that's it on the show today. Our most beautiful time, a beautiful weekend. Bye for now.